Hi guys, and welcome back to the Emily Knits channel. My name is Emily. I am a knitter and crocheter in my mid-30s based in North Nottinghamshire in the UK, where I live with my other half and our two dogs, one of whom you might be able to hear just down here, where we live close to Sherwood Forest. This is a regular traditional format podcast episode for you today, and first off I want to say I'm really sorry that I wasn't here last week. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have already seen this. I realised everybody was waiting for me to announce the winners of a giveaway that I was running, but unfortunately I caught COVID the week before last. So when I would normally have been filming, I was poorly and recovering from that. So apologies, I wasn't here last week, but we're back. We're all good now. I've got a little bit of a lingering cough and I can hear it in my voice a bit. So I'm really sorry if you can hear that as well. The benefit of that is, as you might be able to tell, I have a lot to talk to you about. I have a lot of finished objects. I've got some whips to talk to you about, some things that you've not seen before, and yeah, quite a lot. In the aims of not making this a really bumper episode, because I know, even at the best of times, I struggle to get it under an hour. I'm gonna try and go fairly quickly over things. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Before we get into the podcast proper, I wanted to announce the winners of the giveaway. So we had a giveaway we had two prizes, was what I'm trying to get out here. For UK based entrants, there was this prize of this skein of Squirrels at a Rave sock yarn by Mothy and the Squid, and I will put the name of the winner up here. And the other prize was for international entrants, which was a pattern of your choice from Ravelry or wherever, and I'll put the winner of that one up here now. Congratulations to both people. As we did before, what I would say if you are the winners is if you can contact me on screen here, I'll put my Instagram, which is Emily Knits, which is the same as the podcast channel, except there's some underscores in there, or Ravelry, which is Emily Knits 36. I should say you can find me on those anyway. If you want to drop me a follow on either of those, add me as a friend on Ravelry, please feel free to. But for the winners, if you could reach out to me on either one of those, I'll keep checking both of them and make sure I don't miss your messages in my requests or whatever. Let me know you're the winner, and we will arrange to either get the skein to you if you're based in the UK, or we'll talk. If you've won the pattern, we'll have a chat about what pattern you want, and I can arrange for that to be sent to you as a gift through Ravelry. So reach out to me. And we'll get those sorted to you. Thank you very much to everybody who entered. It was I always really like reading your comments, and when I do a giveaway I ask people to comment, so I get loads of comments and I love that. So thank you very much for everybody who entered, and congratulations. Before I start waffling fully, we'll get properly into the meat of the episode. So the first thing to talk about is finished objects, and the first one of that is what I'm wearing. I have finally finished, get my hair out of the way, my Tendreil tee by the Knit Purl girl. This was a test knit for Sophie. It's actually out now. It's been out a week or two. She did a really bumper release of 6 different patterns, mostly summer patterns at the same time, I think. This is a beautiful pattern. So I knit the size J, I think. I'll pop it all on screen. And I use Drops Bell in the shade Zinc. So Drops Bell is I'm really sorry if you can hear that, there's a helicopter going over, give me a second. Drops Bell is a cotton, viscose and linen blend, she says. I'll pop on the screen. I think it's a fairly good dupe for Sanez Garn Lena. I haven't tried Lena, so I can't really comment on how good it is, but I really enjoyed working with this yarn. It is a beautiful, you're not going to be able to see it very well on camera, but it's almost got, the linen in it has almost like a slightly lighter tone to it. So you have these sort of it's not a fully solid colour. When you look a bit closer, it's got a little bit more interest to it. It was really fun to work with, and it's made a lovely fabric. This pattern also is super fun to knit. So it's a drop shoulder construction. So you start at the back, you do your back, you come back and you pick up your shoulders, and you work these really fun cable details down the sides. She also has a Tendreil sweater as well, so if you wanted this but you don't want to knit the summer top, there is that version as well. You knit down your body, you come back and you do your sleeves, and she's done some really interesting short row shaping on the sleeves to make them sit nicely rather than just sitting off from the body. And then you come back and you do your neck, and this is one of the best fitting summer tops, best fitting t-shirts I've knit. The only thing is I've made it a bit short, so I'm a bit frustrated with myself for that. Let me kneel up and I'll show you. Okay, let me step back a bit. There we go. You can see there, I've got a bit of belly on show. Don't mind that bruise there. I'm very, very clumsy. So yeah, I would have had it a little bit longer if I could. And I've just bound off a little bit too early. So, and it's a nice length, but because it's a bit oversized on me, I've got quite a lot of positive ease. It sort of sits off at the front. Can I show you that? Yeah, it sort of sits off from my body at the front, and I don't like that so much. So I would make it a bit longer if I was to make it again. I would add a good couple of inches, I think, really. But otherwise, I absolutely love the fit of this. You can see if I just sort of sit like that, it's a really, really nice fit. The sleeves, there's something about this whole sort of top bit that looks like a commercial product, and that is really, really nice to be able to achieve in knitting. If I come up a bit closer, you might be able to see the fabric a bit better, and those details on that cable, which is really beautiful and really fun to knit. It doesn't go down the back, so it's just plain stockinette on the back. The cables just come down the front. But yeah, very highly recommend this. I have considered going back and adding a bit of length. The trouble is, it's a tubular bind off, and it was a nightmare to do in this yarn. That was the only thing about this yarn. The tubular bind off was difficult because the different strands were sort of fraying at different rates when I was doing it. It looks lovely and neat, but yeah, not the best sort of experience doing it. And one complaint I had, was it on this one or this one? I bet I'm not gonna be able to find it. There was a factory knot in the yarn where I wanted to be binding off, so that was a nightmare. Yeah, so that was a nightmare. Trying to do a tubular bind off with a factory knot in the middle was really, really, really frustrating. Factory knots normally don't bother me. I'll just make it work around them. But that really, really bothered me. I was really, really angry at it. And I can't find it now, of course. But yeah, I would absolutely knit this again. Absolutely. Like I want it in every colour because it's such a nice... I finished this earlier this week. I've already worn it twice. I wore it today. We've gone into Nottingham today. And even though it's a bit short, it's just... perfect. I can't get over the fit of this. I just wish I'd made it a bit longer, and I might well go back and make it a bit longer to make it fit a bit better. But yeah, very highly recommend. Would very much like to knit myself another one. Probably will in the not too distant future. And I do have the pattern for the Tendreil sweater as well, so I'll probably be making that because this was so fun to do and I think it's so effective. So watch out for that. Another one of these and the Tendreil sweater coming now. But yeah, go check out Sophie's patterns. She's got some fantastic ones anyway, and then she's just done this new massive release, and she's got some really interesting looking ones coming up that she's going to be doing test calls for shortly. So keep an eye on her because there's some fantastic things coming. It's worth mentioning as well while I'm here, I haven't got either of them here, but the Reveries tee that you've seen me wearing before, I'll try and put pictures of if I've got them. The Reveries tee by Herb Garden Knitwear and the Wicker Dreams by Celine Phaeton. They are both now out. They've both been released, I think both of them yesterday, so both very recent, and they might well still be discounts, release day discounts if you're interested in either of those. Both of them, again, very, very nice patterns. The Wicker Dreams is lovely. If I was going to do it again, I'd do it in a different yarn. I did it in Drop Saffron, and I think something a bit more drapey would work a bit better for that. The Reveries is absolutely stunning. I want to knit that again, but that needs to be a bit, it's fingering to light fingering weight yarn, and it's on, I think I was on 3mm needles to get gauge, so that is a commitment for me, particularly when, like we said, I need to add length because I'm tall. If you've not been here before, I have about a 47 to 50 inch bust depending on the time of the month, and I'm 6 feet tall, so I usually need to add length. I should have added length in this and I didn't. This is a really cost-effective knit as well, I should have said. I haven't yet weighed how much I used or how many balls, but I will put on screen here how many balls I used, what the cost of that was. But Drop Spell is really affordable. It's usually, I think it's £2 something a ball, and I feel like I got 8 balls. So what's that, £16-ish? Watch me be wrong, but it certainly wasn't expensive, and it's been a lovely yarn to knit with that. I would very definitely use again, so very highly recommend that. And yeah, the other 2 patterns as well that have been released, worth going and checking out. We have another finished object, and I'm looking around for it like I can have it, even though I know it's not here to show you. And that is the Piennar tee. that I knit as a sample knit for Botanical Yarns. Again, I'll put some pictures up here. I think I have a reel as well of blocking it, because blocking was really, really impeccable. But I finished that a couple of weeks ago. That's now gone back to Botanical Yarns, and if you watch their podcast, in their most recent podcast, they showed it and talked about it as well, which made me really, really happy. They've also put up a reel about it as well, which I just love seeing people talking about my work positively. Who doesn't like that? Especially that one, especially with sample knits in general. But sorry if that picked up, it's just strange dog noises. Yeah, especially sample knits in general, but particularly that one, because it was quite it was all, it lives or dies on the lace. At the back of my mind I was thinking, what if they don't like it, what if it's not good enough, what if it's this? And it was a fairly high value sample knit. The amount of credit that I got back from them was quite high, so of course in my mind, the more you're giving me, the better you expect it to be for that money. If you're giving me a tenner for it, nobody's going to do that, but you know, just to give an example, then you're expecting a tenner's worth of work, and this was not a tenner. So I was worried, but they loved it. They really loved it, and I've ordered some stuff from them with my credit, which hasn't come yet because it's died to order, but I will be showing that when it comes, and I have plans for summer tops in that. So that was knit in, I've completely forgotten the name of the pink. The green was Alchemilla Mollis on their merino linen base, which I was quite pleased with myself that I did get it right from their website. I didn't know what bases they were. They just sent me the yarn to work on, and they were already wound up, so I didn't have any ball bands, and it had some longer fibres in that I thought was linen, and I was very pleased with myself that I'd identified that correctly. And I can't remember the other one. They did say it on the on their podcast episode. If I can find it, I'll pop it up here. Both of them are available in their shop, and Alchemilla Mollis is actually one of the colourways that I've ordered as a tops quantity for myself, because it's beautiful. It's this almost chartreusey yellowy green, really, really lovely. And if you want something brighter, they do have another one that, again, I've forgotten the name of. I'm so sorry. Most things have gone from having COVID, but the brain fog is still there a little bit. And I can't remember the name of it. I keep wanting to say echinacea, but it's not that. But it's a bit more almost neon yellowy green. So if you're wanting that, yeah, they've got some fantastic colours. So that's gone back, and they were very pleased with it. I fully plan to make one for my mum. In different colours. I haven't settled on any colours yet. My plan is, I'm also doing a sample knit for Blue Fern yarns, and my plan is to use the store credit that I'm getting for that to order yarn for the Piennar top for my mum, because just purely my mum is a bit more, she likes a bit more subtle colours, a bit more neutral colours. The stuff that Botanical Yarns do is really, really stunning, but it's just not the colour palette that she would be drawn to. So much as their yarns really lend themselves to it, the colours that Blue Fern do are a bit more my mum's kind of thing. But I'm aiming to knit that as a Christmas present for her for this year. So once I finish this sample knit and got the credit, that will be quite quickly on my needles as well. I will put on the screen again if I've got it. I don't know the value of everything because obviously it was a sample knit, but I can tell you how much of each thing I used. Can I? No, I don't think I can, you know, because I didn't weigh it. No, never mind. I won't. I won't. But it was a very size inclusive pattern. I'm pretty certain I knit size 5, which was the size that I would have knit for myself. So I did give it a cheeky little try on, and it was a lovely fit. I think I'd probably make ever so slightly a smaller size for my mum, probably the size 4. And I decided it needed a bit of length adding for both of us, so I'll probably add another repeat of the lace pattern. But yeah, very, very highly recommend that pattern. It's the Piennar top is by Veera Välimäki. I can't remember if I said that. I think it's relatively newly released, and I'm pretty certain Botanical Yarns are going to be putting kits on the website for exactly the colourways that I sample knit in. So if you want to do that, go for it. They will be there. So that's the second finished object, and we've got quite a few more to talk about. First off, I'm going to talk about these. I didn't finish these, so these are not my finished object, but I wanted to talk about them because they are beautiful. So a friend of mine who I put up a post a couple of weeks back, more than that, asking for help knitting a pair of socks, basically, because I had too much on my needles and I really wanted to do some as a gift knit. And Rachel, who is the Restful Knitter on Instagram, shouted up. We've done a couple of test knits together before, and I've had some interactions with her before, and she shouted up and said, I can help, what do you need? And she's knit me these absolutely stunning socks that are going to be a gift for my dad. They're getting gifted tomorrow. So I ordered the yarn and I ordered it to her, and she's finished these in like I feel like it was like a week. It was a bit longer than that, but it certainly wasn't very long, and they are so good. Like, the yarn is stunning. So the yarn is a sock set from Coastal Creative Links, is the Etsy store. I can't remember the colourway name, I'll have to pop it on screen, but it's a sock set. You can either get it with one contrast colour or two, and then you get your main skein, and it's beautiful. It's all these oranges and turquoises and blues and purples, and then this hot orange that I asked Rachel to use for the collars and cuffs, no, tone cuff, and then this turquoise that she's used for the heel for me. But she's just done such an amazing job. I know she likes sample knitting, I know she likes test knitting, so if you're ever looking for anything, she will, you know, if you're ever looking for sample knitters, I know she's sample knitting as well at the moment for Blue Fern Yarns, so I can highly recommend. Yeah, and just, yeah, massive thank you to Rachel for doing these, because they're incredible. They're absolutely incredible. She's helping me out with some more later in the year as well, because she's an absolute legend. And I've sent her some. She didn't want to take payment for them because she's just an immensely lovely human being as well. So she's received some yarn in payment, because there was no way I was letting her do it for nothing. But they are stunning, absolutely stunning, and this yarn feels so good. There is a bit of this left, and I want to use it. I want to try and get a pair of shorties out of it for myself, because I want to wear these. These are so good. So yeah, finished, but not by me. And they will be gifted. I wanted to show them because I wanted to say thank you first off, but also just show this yarn, because I just can't get over those colours. It shipped super quickly as well. I should mention, I had ordered from another dyer, who is a well-known dyer. I've seen them all over Instagram. I've had stuff from them before, although I'd bought it in person in another shop that they're stocked in, rather than on their own website, and it just never arrived. And in the end, I had to reach out quite a few times, and in the end I got a refund. And I thankfully, after about a week and a bit, I decided, because they were going to be for a gift, I decided to go for something else, and I went and bought this from Coastal Creative Links on Etsy, and I think it arrived the next day. Like, it was really quick. And it came with like a little handmade by tag in the thing, and some stitch marks, I think it was, and decent value. So very highly recommend that, and this feels very soft and squishy, so give them a check out as well. Next, now the rest I have finished myself. We're going to move these out of the way because these are actually a whip, these little squares. And we've got some crochet to talk about. So while I was unwell with COVID, particularly there was a couple of days when I was particularly bad. Thankfully, we've had COVID once before and it wiped me out for about a week. This one was only really a couple of days that I wasn't well enough to work, and I was sat at home, and I didn't really have the energy to work on most of my whips, because this is a colour work yoke, and I was still in the colour work. This one is my dress, and that I needed to do some maths for, and I didn't trust myself that I would be able to do the maths correctly, or that I would know whether it was correct or not because of the brain fog. So I ended up picking up crochet quite a lot, because I could just sit and do it without really having to pay too much attention. And I showed this before, but I have now finished. I haven't woven my ends in. I've completely forgotten because it's a blanket. I haven't done it. I finished my little scrappy blanket that I was making with a scrap cake from Ruffles Yarns. This is really, let me hold it up because it's really hard to show. So I finished the first scrap cake and I left it for a bit, and then I ordered another scrap cake and I finished it off. So I basically just kept going round and round and round, and then I decided I wanted it to be rectangular. So you can see there's a bit here where I basically added on some flat rows rather than going round and round. And then once I'd done that, I went back and went round and round and round again. And then I've added this scalloped border, which is in some King Cole Big Value DK, I think, that I've got in stash. It's just an acrylic, 100% acrylic yarn. So the first Ruffles scrap cake that I ordered was this central one, and that was all their hand dyed yarn. The second one that I ordered, and it's DK weight I should say as well, the second one that I ordered was a combination of their scrap yarn and some commercially available scrap yarn, but there is still some hand dyed in it. And actually I'm really pleased with how it's come out. This is essentially like a little lap blanket size. It's so hard to show it to you in one bit, but I basically just kept crocheting until I ran out. I've got a little bit of it left, but I didn't have enough to do another full round, so I didn't do another full round. And there were a couple of bits. For the most part, I just kept going. There were two bits where I decided to manage the colours a bit. So there was one section that I took out, which was black, and wouldn't have been a problem, except you can see if I sort of spread this about a bit. Have I got the wrong side there? Yeah, this side's the better side with no ends. There's not really any dark bits in it. There's a bit here, and there's a bit there, but there isn't anything darker than that. It's all quite light colours, and the black just looked really jarring against all that light, so I took that out. And then I think it was up here somewhere around here, I was getting yellow on yellow on yellow on yellow, and I came to do another bit and it was another bit of yellow. I think it was here, and I just thought, nope, it's creating too much of a big solid yellow patch, so I broke that bit off as well and just went into the next colour. So there, yeah, it was here because I've got an end. So yeah, there's a couple of extra ends that there wouldn't have been otherwise because of that. But yeah, this has had a quick steam block to make the scalloped edge lie flat, and this is essentially lap blanket size, and it's beautiful. I'm very pleased with it. It brings me a lot of joy because it's so colourful, colourful and scrappy and bright. And when I was feeling ill, I finished it when I was feeling ill, and then I just sat with it on my knees because it made me feel happy to have it done. So yeah, very pleased with that. It was exactly what I needed at the time, of just granny stitch, starting in the centre, going round and round and round, and say then doing some flat, but then going back to doing it round and round again. And yeah, nice little baby blanket, I guess, or yarn blanket, lap blanket. And then I continued with crochet. So I had some yarn in my stash that I bought intending to crochet with it, and I didn't know what to do with it. And this was I've kept the ball band to show you. This is from Wool Warehouse. This is, I think Yarnsmiths is their own brand. Yes, it is. It says it on the back. So this is the Yarnsmiths Pebble Haze Prince DK. This is a blown yarn, and this is a blown yarn. It is 67% cotton and 33% acrylic, and it comes in 150 gram big cakes, like a Karen cake or something like that, or the sheep's whirl thing. But it's not ombre, it just changes colour as you go through it. And I got 2 cakes of this. I have used, I think I got 75, I've got 125 grams left of the second cake. So I've used 175 grams on this. But I decided to do a crochet shawl. This is I think it's the Mystic Morning Shawl by 2 of 1s. I'll put the name on screen because I can't quite remember what it was. And this is just a massive crochet shawl. I've got my hair tucked in the back of that really hurts. There we go. So this is sort of what it looks like. I followed this exactly to pattern, except for 2 very slight things. So this is a free pattern on there. I think, again, similar to the cardigan I made, if you watched that a few episodes ago. There is a free version or there is a paid version, but 2 of 1s I think most people know about. It is a fantastic resource for free patterns, knitted and crocheted. They tend to be fairly simple. They tend to be fairly large yarn size and needle size, although I don't think that's always the case. But they are a really, really good resource for free patterns. And it was really easy to follow. So if I put a picture up here of what it should look like, this has colour changes in it, which I didn't do. And it has tassels, which I didn't do. And the reason I didn't do the colour changes is because I had colour changing yarn. So you can see it does change throughout it. But otherwise I crocheted exactly to pattern. I decided not to do the tassels because I was quite happy with how it looked without. And this again is lovely because it's blown cotton yarn. Because it's a blown yarn, sorry, not a blown cotton yarn, it's really light. Like, this is a massive shawl. It's really, really big, and it's 175 grams. So it's so cheap, so light. These cakes I'm sure were like £10 for a 150 gram cake. But I saw the other week they were on sale for like £6, so you could get them cheaper if you wanted to, if you keep an eye out for when it's on sale. And even then, you could, because it's crochet, you could quite easily just make this a bit shorter and stop when you want to. I decided I wanted to see how much it was going to take to do the full thing, but you could get a 150 gram cake of this and get a shawl out of it, again, if you do it without tassels. So I used a 5.5mm crochet hook. I think this yarn suggests, yeah, a 4, but it's come out absolutely fine, and it's come out really light and drapey. I've got mohair in my nose, or something in my nose. Oh my God. I've given this a bit of a steam block, but not a full wet block again. The only thing I'm a bit unsure of is what colour this is now. Now, this should be the shade Aldborough, and it says it is. I ordered it as that, and this is the shade code for that. But when you go and look on the website, I'll put some pictures up here. When you go and look on the website, this doesn't look like the Aldborough colourway, and it's this blue that's throwing me off. This blue is really lovely. I'm not saying I don't like it, but this looks like it's a different colour. So I can't really say go get Aldborough and you'll definitely get this, because I'm not entirely sure. But oops, the yarn itself I can absolutely vouch for. You can see how much drape it's got. It's really lovely. They've got some absolutely gorgeous, they've got some solids as well, I'm pretty certain, and they've got some absolutely gorgeous of these print colours. I really want to try some more. These would make great gifts for people. If you've got people in your lives that like shawls and you crochet, these would make really, really good gifts. And it was very quick. It only took me like 2 days to do, and it wasn't just working on this, it was working on other things as well. I think it's the Mystic Morning shawl. There are lots and lots of different free shawls, crochet and knit, on there, on 2 of 1's website. So I very highly recommend. But just look at how bright that blue is. It's really lovely, and yeah, really rate the yarn. So that was is that the only other finished object? Yeah, that's quite a lot. What's that? 2 finished t-shirts, a finished blanket and a finished shawl, and a finished pair of socks, but I can't take the credit for that. That, I told you, it's been a lot in 3 weeks. It's been a lot in 3 weeks. So let's move into some whips. I'm going to talk about one really quickly because I can't actually show you the whip because it's a secret test knit. So I'm doing a secret test knit for In Her Skein is the Ravelry username. It's Mariev. I'm going to show you the swatch really briefly because she has shown the swatch on her own social media, which I'll put here. This is a secret cardigan test knit that's going to be coming out in Liner magazine next year, I think. And I was selected, and I'm very excited for it because I'm really on a kick with cardigans at the moment. I've realised that I wear them a lot. I've got 2 and they get so much wear, probably more than sweaters and things like that. So I'm really on a kick for that. And I love the texture of this. It's an all over textured garment. So I'm planning shortly to do a pattern roundup. Sorry, strange noise. To do a pattern roundup of cardigans that I want to knit. And if I could talk to you about this one would be on it because I'm knitting it. But I'll flash you the swatch very quickly, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm using some yarn stash that I wanted to talk about because it's lovely. This is the, what is it? Woolly Knit 4-ply British wool 500g cone in the shade Light Natural Twist, and it's got this, it's almost this like mild yarn, one of those almost barber pole yarns. You can't really see because it's all together, you can see a bit better in the strand, and it's lovely, it's coming out lovely. So I'm going to be working on that. I can't show you that, but I'm going to be working on that, and I'll sort of give updates on where I'm at. I've currently started working on the back panel because it's a drop shoulder construction, but I only cast it on yesterday, so that's going fairly quickly. We'll talk about this because it's a completely new cast on. I again, when I was poorly and I was working really quite heavily on things that were quite complicated, I really wanted something simple, and I'd ordered 2 skeins of really beautiful hand dyed Surrey alpaca lace, Surrey silk lace, Surrey alpaca silk, hand dyed from the Camel's yarn, which I have to say is not only is it beautiful yarn, with really gorgeous colours. The packaging was some of the nicest I've ever received. I'll pop in here, if I can remember to, a picture of the yarn tags because even they were printed on canvas. It's really, really beautiful packaging. So well thought out. And I got 2 shades. She did an in-stock update the other week, and I got myself 2 skeins of this Surrey alpaca silk in the shade Water Parsnip. And this really isn't doing it justice. So before I caked up the second skein, I took some footage, which I'll put in here because it's so beautiful. And I decided I was going to hold it with some Drops Flora that I have in stash to make a Lento. And we're coming along quite nicely. So I've sort of followed the Lento instructions. Let me just show you the fabric first because this is really beautiful. Really, really beautiful. So Drops it is Flora. It smells really sheepy. It is Flora, I'm pretty certain. It's their fingering weight wool alpaca blend, and I intentionally chose this even though I've got some Drops Fable in stash, which is just wool, I think, or wool nylon, because I'm hoping that with the alpaca in the yarn and then the alpaca in the sori silk, this will be really soft and drapey. It already is really nice and soft. So I'm hoping when I block it, it will become even more so. So I'm playing yarn chicken a bit. I've only got 2 skeins of the sori and I don't want to buy another one. And because of that, I've made some choices with how I do this and the size that I'm in it. So we'll talk about those. I have chosen to do the size 4, I think, which should give me about 1 inch of positive ease. So it's not as much as it recommends in the pattern, but I'm okay with that. And I decided to, you should in the pattern cast on, so we'll wind back a bit. Lento is a pattern by Jonna, Hietala, I think is the name. And I think it originally came out in either liner or pom-pom several years ago now, but you can now buy it separately. And it's sort of well known for, if you've not heard of it, it's well known for being, it's just a plain stockinette raglan sweater. But the thing is that you hold a fingering weight and a lace weight together and you knit them at really quite a big gauge. So this is on 6mm needles, which is the biggest I've worked on for quite a while. And it is I think it's like a 16 stitch gauge, so it's very light and very airy. I am on my second, I think these are 50g balls, and I'm only on my second one. I've got loads of it. I am still on my first skein of sori, and I'm quite well down the body. If you see, I've split for sleeves and I've knit all this, and I'm still, and it's because it's at such a loose gauge, so it makes for a very light, airy, drapey sweater. And it's really nice to be able to have a special skein of something. I know that, I think where I first became aware of it was the Crochet Along talking about it, and that was exactly what she referenced, was that you could get a skein or 2 of something really special and still get a sweater out of it because of this pattern, because of the gauge that you're knitting at. But I am playing yarn chicken a little bit. As mentioned, I'm 6 foot, so I expect to be able to need to add some length, and to make sure I maximise as much of this as possible. You should start with the neckline and do a folded neckline, but what I decided to do was, first off, I'm not going to do the neckline or the body ribbon or the cuffs in the sori. I am either going to do a single strand of Flora or 2 held together if it's not quite dense enough. So we'll have those sort of contrasting cuffs and things, which I think will look quite nice anyway. I think that's going to look stylistically quite nice. But also means that I don't have to worry about, I can maximise the sori on the body and the sleeves, and not worry too much about, have I got enough yarn left. So yeah, because of that, I cast on at the bottom of the rib instead of doing the folded rib first. So I just cast on the number of stitches it tells you should have at this point, and I went from there. I also didn't do the full number of increases. So because it's a raglan, I worked the short rows, which you do first, and then I was working around increasing, and I was getting to the point where I was going, this is getting to the point where it looks like I'm about ready to split. So I tried it on and decided that I wanted a little bit more. But I think the pattern suggests for my size you do about 20 decrease rounds, and I did, I think, 16. So I took quite a few out, and I did, to make sure I had plenty of room on the body, I did pick up a couple of extra, cast on a couple of extra stitches under the arm. So I'm not really now doing the same pattern. I'm still going to do the same for the, I'm not going to do the same for the sleeves because the pickup number is not going to be the same. I'm going to follow the instructions to get myself down to the size they recommend for the cuff. But yeah, and then what I'm going to do to maximise the yarn, other than that, I can take this off because that was my marking my increase. I'm going to work down the body, and then when I get to the sleeves, I'm going to split what I've got left in half of the sori, so that I can essentially, I'll work down one sleeve as far as I can get. I'm hoping I can get full length sleeves. If I can't, fine, I could do a deeper rib, or I don't mind having elbow, there we go. I don't mind having elbow length sleeves, that's absolutely fine. I was going to pop it on, try it on, see if I can get it on some try it on tubing, and we can try and see what it looks like. I'm not trying it on because I don't know where the tubing is, but yeah, I've just been working away on this. We had a couple of nights where we watched a film, we watched The Hobbit, which I've never seen before, and I just sat and worked on this while we were watching that, and I got a lot done on the body, again, because it's 6mm needles. Once I start knitting on it, I just fly. So yeah, I'm going to keep plugging away on this, but I really do like this actually. I really do like this. This is lovely. So that is in progress. Since, oops, just rolled my sewing across the living room. I have to get that in a bit. Since I've now pulled it out of the bag to try and find my try it on tubing, let's talk about my sample knit. So you saw a bit of this last time, because last time we talked, I'd just done a swatch for it. And I wasn't going to cast on until my Piennar top was finished, my other sample knit, but I have now cast on. So this is for Blue Fern yarns, and this is in their yak base, which is a wool yak blend. I'll put it on screen. Again, I'm really sorry. This yarn is really beautiful, really, really beautiful. And this is in the undyed. Undyed is the grey, and then the green that you're going to see is their emerald colourway. And this is the Sprouts by Johanna. Again, another designer that is very well known, but I've never knit from. And last time I showed you, I just had a swatch. But this is where we're at now. We have had quite a lot of progress, and we are not far at all off splitting for sleeves. Let me show you here because you can see the pattern well there. It is beautiful. I've probably got like 2 more rows to do before I split for sleeves, but this colour work is gorgeous. I will put up a picture that I took and put on my Instagram because it does it justice better than this, because it's on a relatively short cable, so you can't really see it. But yeah, it's really lovely. It's really lovely. It has a folded 1x1 twisted rib neckline. It's got some short rows at the bottom of the colour work, so you can see this is the back. There's a lot more green here, so it has some short rows at the bottom of that. It then has colour work on the sleeves and the cuffs as well, so I've got some more colour work to do. This was really, really fun to do. I did have a couple of false starts with it, so I was going to talk about that. And I think it's the pattern more than the yarn, because a few people had mentioned in their Ravelry comments that they'd had to do the same thing. One of them was purely my mistake. I did my collar, fine. Started working in the round, and you work some increases before you go into your colour work. And I just messed up. I didn't read the chart properly, and I think it was supposed to be a knit one, make one. And I was just taking that symbol that should mean knit one, make one as a make one. So I was doing them too often. So I pulled that back, and I got back on the needles again. And then I was finding, I took some footage, so I'll put it up here, or I took a picture. I was finding that in this top bit, I was catching my floats. Oh, my ring's catching, let's not do that. I was catching my floats in this bit because obviously you've got quite a few stitches in here. And it was causing some awful puckering, and I'm quite good at catching my floats, if I do say so myself. I was making sure I left it nice and loose. I knit a lot of colour work, so I was fairly happy that I had done the best I possibly could, but it was so puckered, and I tried to steam block it and it just wasn't having any of it. But you can see now it's so much better. So I haven't caught, and there was a few, I wouldn't have done that if it hadn't have been for, I went through the Ravelry projects, and looked for ones with notes, and there were 2 or 3 I think that mentioned that they had to not catch at the beginning because it was causing puckering. So I thought, right, okay, we're going to go for it. So I haven't caught my floats, and it's worked out really well, but it does make some really nice looking floats, look. I'm very pleased with how they turned out. I've given it a little bit of a steam block at the top just to check that the colour works good, and it is. It's all really nice and even, and this yarn softens so much with blocking. It's soft anyway, but yeah, this I want something in this because it's so soft. And I noticed earlier today, actually, I was sat there thinking, when I got the yarn, let me pull one of these cakes out. I was like, oh, emerald do you think is a bit sort of deeper green? My ring's got an emerald in it. It can't get much better than that. Like, the colour is so good. The colour is so good. Like, the colours are great anyway. But Shannon's done such a good job of dyeing this, and I have been alternating skeins because I thought I might need to, because she actually recommends it in the information you get when you order from her. But I haven't needed to at all. I would have been absolutely fine just knitting straight because there's so little variation. Shannon's dye work and colours are incredible. So if you haven't followed Shannon on social media, if you haven't tried her yarns out, I would definitely recommend them. So yeah, And if you're going to Yarndale later in the year, Shannon is, the deadline that I have for this is before that, because she's hoping to take this to Yarndale with you. So if you go and see Shannon at Blue Fern Yarns and you see my work, take a picture of it and send it to me, because I'd love to see it. I'm hoping to try and get there actually, but we'll see. It's not long before we get married, so things might be a bit hectic there. You never know. We'll do an update on the dress and then we'll go into the last little whip. So if you've been here before, you will know that I'm knitting my wedding dress. I just mentioned I'm getting married later in the year. I am knitting the Melides dress by vertknit, and this is a test knit for extended sizing and a clarity improvement on the pattern. So the Melides is already out, you can already go and knit this, and I would so highly recommend it. But Inez has done some extended sizing and some clarity improvements on the pattern. And last time I think we saw this is properly twisted. There we go. Last time I showed you this, I think I had some of the front done and I needed to do the rest. So essentially for this one, you start, this is knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the shade Copper I'm using. And I can't tell you what size I'm knitting. Oh, I should have said on the sprout I'm knitting the size M2. It's a very size inclusive pattern. It's got a really full range, and then also for the medium and large sizes, I think it goes extra small, small, medium 1, medium 2, large 1, large 2, extra large, extra large. So you've got a real range of sizes in there. And yeah, it's a lovely pattern. It's very well written as well. It's very well written. So yeah, I can't say what size I'm knitting in this, because the whole point of this is that it's knit bespoke to you. You take a lot of measurements, Inez tells you how and where to take those measurements, and then you plug those into the pattern to create a bespoke fit. And we have quite a lot of progress. So we have the entirety of a front. It's a little bit creased. It tends to look creased once it's been in the bag. This is actually reversible, so I'm going to show you it on. I'm going to put it backwards on because it's a bit easy to show you. But I will also put up some footage, because I've done a bit of a try on this before I started knitting for the dress. You cast on at the waist, you knit upwards, you do your front and everything, and then you knit downwards. The point is that it's actually reversible, and we have a front bodice. Oh, ow, I'm jabbing myself with a needle. So this is the back technically, but you can wear this as the front. And I'll pop up a picture of me trying on the front. It looks really tight on the picture. I promise you it isn't. It's because you go back afterwards and you put edgings on all of this, but it's really rolling because it's stuck in it. So it looks a lot tighter than it is, but the fit on this is impeccable. I was so worried about getting it fitting right, but if you take your measurements and you follow the instructions, this is an immensely well-fitting pattern. It has some really beautiful details as well. So I don't know if you can see there's this sort of faux dart looking detail. There's a little bit of a detail you work here, which is where your waist is going to sit. I can't get over this whole pattern. This is going to be, I mean, it should be because it's my wedding dress, but this is going to be like the pièce de résistance of my knitting career. I think probably the nicest thing I've ever knit, the most sort of finished, polished. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's not had massive amounts of work over the last couple of weeks, and I'm conscious that I need to crack on with that, but that's partly because like I say, I needed to do maths for each section because my row gauge is a little bit off. I'm having to do some maths, which again the pattern tells you how to do, to adjust for row gauge. I'm also having to do length adjustments, which again the pattern tells you how to do, but I am longer than most people would be in most areas. So the pattern is really self-explanatory. It is a bit daunting when you get it, I will say that. It's 20 odd pages, possibly more than that, but just follow it. It absolutely works out. And I'm so looking forward to seeing how this works out. I think I'm going to, when it comes to it, I think I'm going to take a bit of length out of the straps. They're quite long as is, especially on the front. It's sitting, I don't know if you can tell there, but like that's the top of my bra, so it's only just covering my bra, and I think with the weight of the skirt on it, it's going to pull it down a bit. So I think I'll probably end up taking a little bit of length out of the straps, but that's why they're on these cords, because Inez suggests that you don't join them at this point anyway, because it will grow when you knit it on it. So yeah, we're working away on this, and it's absolutely stunning. The yarn is beautiful as well. I can see why so many people rave about Pure Silk. I didn't think I'd get the hype, but I really do. And last but not least, in terms of whips, I have been doing more crochet. There's a reason I haven't woven the ends in before anybody shouts at me and tells me off. This is going to be a blanket. So what I tend to do with those is I weave the ends in when I'm going to be weaving the ends in when I join. So I've posted about this on my Instagram, so you might have already seen it. But I have decided to join in with the Yorkshire Crochet Along by Meema Makes. So Meema Makes is a designer I'd never come across before. She is I think she used to live elsewhere, but she now lives in Yorkshire. And she's done this Yorkshire Crochet Along. Now, if you hadn't guessed from my accent, and I know I've spoken to a couple of you in the comments about it before, I am originally from Yorkshire. I have lost a bit of my accent living elsewhere. I just tend to pick up accents quite quickly. But I am a Yorkshire girl at heart, and I always will be. And I would love to move back up there. I think we probably will eventually. So first off, it's a crochet along, so I get that kind of thing that I get from test knitting and sample knitting. I have a deadline, so I have something to work to, and it's spread out over a certain number of weeks, so I can't, I don't go ham on it to begin with and then lose interest. It just spreads it out a bit more. But also it's Yorkshire, so great, and it's crochet, which I've been loving, and it uses up mini skeins, which I've got quite a lot of, so it was a win-win-win-win-win. So this started, I think, on the 1st of July. So by the time I joined it, it was a bit late, but I was able to catch up, and I think you probably still could. So we've just had today released part 2. So essentially, this is a sampler blanket, I think is the way she describes it. I'll pop a picture up here again of her Instagram post that shows it. And essentially the way she's done the crochet along is that every week you have a square pattern, and you knit 2 squares in that pattern, and there's 12 different patterns. So it's designed to use a 24 skein advent if you have one of those. Each square uses, I think she says on average 13 grams, and I would say about that. So you do need 20 gram minis, not 10 gram. There is instructions for DK and fingering weight yarn. And every month she releases the next part. So it started in July, and we got part 1, and it had weeks 1, 2, 3 and 4 in that. We've just got part 2, which has 5, 6, 7 and 8 in. You knit each week in that month has a pattern assigned to it, and you knit 2 squares of that in the month. There are, I think there was yarn kits from Beehive Yarns, I think, I could be wrong, but what there is in the pattern, this pattern is, it blows my mind how good value this is. It was like £9 something for the pattern. But not only do you get all the parts and everything like that, the patterns are immensely well written for starters. Before you even get to the patterns, there's a start here document that is really comprehensive about everything you need to know about doing this, certain techniques that you might need, terms that you're using, instructions for how to do a DK weight and a fingering weight, and there's colorways set out for you. Using things like Stylecraft yarns, like sheep use stonewashed and things. She's come up with loads of different colour schemes and put them in there and told you how many you'll need of each ball, and also to get it to look like this, lay them out like this when you've done it. Knit this, crochet these squares in these colours, and it'll look like this at the end. The work she's put in. Oh, and then just to add, and then she's done all of the patterns in both UK and US terms, so you can use whichever one you like. And she's created video tutorials for every single square. Like, the work that must have gone into this is immense. So even if you just share it on Instagram, please do, because it's so thorough and it's fantastic. So yeah, the aim is that you've got 3 months worth of crocheting these squares. Then I think your 4th month is doing all your borders and you join as you go. And then by November, I think it is, you have a fully finished blanket. It sounds great to me. I caught up and I crocheted my squares that I needed to do. But I'm going to show you. So we've got 2 of week 1, which I think was called the Bronte square. This shows up on camera way better than it does in person. You can see you've got this almost flower motif in it. I don't think this one shows up as well. No, this yarn's a bit busy for it, but I do really like the yarn, so I'm quite happy with that. But these were both minis from Cheshire Yarns Hand Dyed, and they're beautiful. So we've got 2 of those. This was week 1. We've got 2 of week 2, both also again in Cheshire Yarns Hand Dyed, which was called the Mill Wheel, I think. I get this wrong every time. But we've got this in this tonal blue. And this one might be my favourite. This is so good. Look at it. It's so good. I was dying to use this mini. I was dying to use it. I I still think because it's quite a graphic pattern, it doesn't hide it too much. So that's week 2. These are all blocked as well, by the way. I have blocked and I have woven the centre ends in, even if I haven't woven the edge ends in. We have 2 of week 3, which are both done in Wild Purl Yarns, who does some stunning minis, really stunning. So this was, I can't remember what this is called. I'll pop it on screen. And you can see we've got bobbles and we've got these crossed stitches. And then we have the other week 3. Again, from Wild Purl Yarns, this lovely sort of speckled purple. And then I finished week 4, which is, these are both minis from Giddy Yarns. These are an old Christmas set, I think, that I got off Ravelry in a D-stash. And this is the waterfall square. We've got bobbles and we've got these long V stitches down here and across here. And then we've got, this again is the same mini set from Giddy Yarns. Really, really fun. I didn't actually like these squares. The only one of the entire thing I didn't like was this one, week 4. Because to me, when I looked at it, it looked like a George Cross. It didn't look like a waterfall. But I decided to do them because I think it looks really nice in the sort of theme of the whole thing. And I do think that's partly why I used one of the more busy colours, because I wanted to hide it a little bit. And I do think it looks nice. But it also wasn't my most fun to crochet. So I'm quite glad they're done. Just received the thing today, like I say, for week 5. So I'm going to get those done this week. And I'll keep updating you on where we're at. So we currently have 8 squares. We will have 24 by the end of it. And then we'll be joining it together in a blanket. And I'm already thinking I might want to make this again with one of my advents. I think it would look really, really nice. So yeah, very excited for this. Very much enjoying this. And it's made me want to join in on more crochet alongs and blanket crochet alongs and things like that. I think that's, oh, it's not quite everything. I wanted to talk about this. I haven't been talking about acquisitions much because it feels a bit strange. And I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I wanted to talk about this because it's beautiful. This was purely, I think I'm going to keep buying this probably. But I've been wanting to try some yarn from Lonely Mountain Yarns for a little while. So that she's a I think it's Northern Ireland based dyer. And I've seen Lally Bee Knits and a couple of other people talk about her stuff. And it's beautiful. I've been wanting to try them for a bit. And when I looked on her Etsy, she had this really stunning, yeah, it is Northern Ireland, it says it on the front of the yarn, sorry. She had this, she's got some really beautiful things, but she does a sock club and I think she's only just started doing it in June this year. I missed out on July, so if she has any seconds I might buy it. But this was leftovers from her June one. And look, oh, it's so good. It's sparkly as well. It's got sparkle in it, if you can see that. She does it on sparkle bases, on non-sparkle bases, but I do really like the sparkle actually. And this is a long expected party. It's 75% merino, 20% nylon, 5% stellina. Sock set. Yeah, sock set. You've got a 70-gram main skein. That might be 50 grams. I'll put that on screen. It says 70 grams is 280 meters or 306 yards. So it might be a 70-gram main colour and a little one, or it could be 50 and 20. I think it might be 50 and 20. But I'll still get some socks out of this. Absolutely no problem. And look at the packaging. It's beautiful. You can, I hope it's showing up on screen. It's matte with this beautiful holographic logo. It's really, really nice. Really, really nice. You can see the sparkle in that now. There's sparkle in this as well. It's just showing more on this because of the purple tonal there. And again, similar to the Camel's Yarn, really beautiful packaging. It came with a tiny little handwritten rolled up note that said, it was a quote from, I think either The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings. I think it's The Lord of the Rings, isn't it? A Long Expected Party. It's the first book. So yeah, very, very excited about this. There is a Cal ongoing at the moment and I can't remember who it's by. I've saved it in my Instagram, so I'll pop it up on screen. And it's a Lord of the Rings themed knit along, and it's either Lord of the Rings themed yarn or patterns or just things that give you Hobbity vibes. So I did think, I was knitting this whilst watching The Hobbit and it does give me slightly Hobbity vibes, so this might be an entry in it for starters. but this definitely will be. And there is a hat that I've seen, so I'm half planning to use this mini for something different. I know it sounds a bit daft because it's a sock set, but I sort of think I might use this mini as a contrast in some socks that I'm going to make for my mum, because it's sparkle yarn and I wanted a sparkle, and I think this purple will go really nice with it, so I might use that. And then this, I spotted a pattern by, Christ, why am I so bad with names today? I'm gonna have to put it on screen. I can't remember. My mind has gone completely blank. I can't remember any designer's name at all. She's got a podcast as well. Oh, so annoying. She's got a podcast as well. She creates her own designs, and I think they're all Lord of the Rings themed, her designs. And she has I think it's called a helmet for Thorin is the pattern. It's a cabled hat pattern. I feel like she's called Nicole. Oh, it's really gonna annoy me. As soon as I'm finished filming, it's gonna come back to me. But I thought that in this, when it being Hobbit themed and Lord of the Rings themed as well, would be lovely. I'm not fully set on that. It might still be, I might just make socks out of this because it's so beautiful. I think the one for July was a walk among mushrooms. I think that's what it's called. I promise I've tried to read the Lord of the Rings. I've never got on with them very well, but I've watched the films so many times. And The Hobbit, my dad used to read to me as a kid, as a bedtime story. It's probably not the most child appropriate. But I was also obsessed with Watership Down, which again, probably not the most child appropriate. And my parents both read a lot of Stephen King. And I was probably only about 12 before my mum let me read Stephen King. So yeah, there was it was quite a quick upbringing in terms of books in my house. But yeah, I do love the Lord of the Rings sort of universe and things like that. And I think, yeah, these are just really beautiful. And I wanted to give a shout out because she's a relatively small dyer. And this is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. And that's it. It's just under an hour. I've got 30 seconds and then we're over an hour. But I'm pleased with myself. We did it. I'm sorry there was so much this time. What you can expect coming from me soon, I'm doing some stash busting videos. I'm planning to try and do some, I've been quite good at stash busting. I have used some stuff from stash. Is that it? Oh no, my minis are from stash, and my cardigan's also from stash. I've used some stuff from stash. I've gifted some stuff from stash. We're gifting some other stuff to you guys. And I've sold some stuff as well. So I'm quite pleased with myself. Quite a lot has left my stash this month. Some has come in, but not too much. And I'm trying to be quite, just a bit more sensible about what I bring into my stash. So I'm pleased with that. And I'm going to be doing some stash busting videos to keep helping me move through that. I plan on doing that cardigan pattern roundup. Like I said, I know we're in summer and it has now got warm in the UK, but I think me and I think a lot of other people that I've seen on social media are starting to gear up for fall knitting, for autumn knitting, and cardigans are going to be a big part of that for me. I thought I'd also do a gift knitting roundup as well, because I do usually gift knit. I tend to mostly knit socks. I have some bigger plans this year to make, like I say, my other half would like a jumper. I'd like to make something for my dad, probably a jumper again. And then I want to make a top for my mum. I want to make some socks. I want to make a Musselburgh hat for my dad. So I've got quite a lot to do, and I thought it would be interesting to do like a gift pattern roundup as well. I'm not talking about garments to gift for other people, because I realise not everybody wants to do that, but maybe talking about accessories and things like that. I also thought we would do, I need to do a proper update. I've got a proper update video to do on this. I've been filming the process of this. Has just been a bit daunting with brain fog and not everything being fully as is. I've got everything I need to do for it. I just need to film a sit down bit like this and edit it all together, and it's the editing that's phasing me. At this point it's touch and go whether you'll get that or not, because I don't know, maybe you'll just see it as a finished item when I've done it. But yeah, lots of things coming, and I've got ideas for some other stuff that we're going to be doing, that I'm going to film. And yeah, hopefully I'll be back in I'm hoping to be back next week with something, probably a cardigan pattern roundup or something like that, with another video. And then I'll be back in 2 weeks time with a pattern roundup, with a podcast. And hopefully there'll be a bit less than this time, so we can actually talk about stuff rather than just rattling through it. I feel like I've probably missed some information on some of these patterns, so if I have, please let me know in the comments. If there's anything you want to know, let me know. I'm trying to get better at keeping my Ravelry up to date as well, so some stuff will have the stuff on Ravelry if you want to go and check me out there, again in the description. is where you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram. And I feel like I'm missing something, but I think that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this, what feels like a very chaotic and slightly rushed catch up. I hope it's not been too bad. Next time I promise we'll be a bit more organised, because there's going to be a few more things that are just, you know, I'm just working on these few things. We're going to have some more squares, hopefully some progress on the Lento. Sample knit will be well underway. Well underway, it's already underway. It'll be even more underway, and my dress will be plodding along. So there should be just updates on current things to talk about there. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you've got some knitting done, or crocheting, or whatever craft it is that you're doing. I hope I've been a good accompaniment for you during that. Congratulations again to the winners. Don't forget to reach out to me. If you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help, and I really do like seeing it grow. I'm really enjoying doing this, so yeah, the more it grows, the better. But I will leave it there. Thank you very much, guys, for spending your time with me. Have a great week, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.